Kongoi missing biik kyok chebo kalenjin eng tugul olomi. Tiendo nagere mi eng yo ko tiendo nebo Ronnie Productions. Kale mite kalyet eng muguleldonyu. Betut nebo rani kemite kora eng tetutienyo nebo kokwetab Cheisoni. Atinye toek che kokimi tugul eng wikit konye. Kimeche ketesetai tetutiet nekokitinye eng wikit konye neking'olole akobo mental health eng kutitab chumbek. Anan ndakiwechi konyo kutit nenyonet kimuchi kemwa kele kalyet nebo muguleldo anan kalyet nebo kabwatutik anan abwati ale makimuchi kemwa kele mental health kele kororonindab metit anan ko kiy neuno amu ko kakiib kwa kiy nematagunot eng acheket amu kaloit. Otogotin biik chok chomite TV nenyonet nebo Kass TV nekichome nekonech kasarta ketestai kibarasta keng'ololse tugul keam logoi kibagenge. Ako kweket chomite Facebook chokere ak chekaoitu chonjo kou eng bitet otesetai kityo nya olen jambo kule cham omwoitoi taityo oyai share ako kany kemwa tugul kibagenge kele nyolu keng'alale ng'alechu mat kesite wernat. Biik kyok amune sikeng'alale ng'oliotab chametabgei nebo muguleldo kalyet eng muguleldo amu chang biik cheimegei eng emet. Iimegei biik amu bananda, iimegei biik amu nyalilda, iimegei biik amu tuguk chemami, iimegei biik amu usisiosiek chemite korik, iimegei biik amu nyalilda netinye lagok, nyalilda netinye sigik, nyalilda netinye aguiywogik. Ngap kwa chito kot kole ameche aketkei inai ile kakoimgei mugulel chichot. Kwa chito kotinyoru kong'ololot eng oret kityo ko kakoimgei chichoto muguleldo. Kotomwoe Mike wikit konye kole ngap inyoru chito nekakosoimenine ko kakoimgei chichoto muguleldo. Komakimeche kemwee ng'alechu amu kitupche ak bichu. Bichu ko sigikchok, bichu ko tilyonutikchok. Yo kawo kot konyikisit kobo chi. Kimwa biikchok kole ng'wan kobo tiony, tandus kobo chi. Anan kimwa kole tandus kobo chi ko ng'wan kobo tiony, mangen. Komeche sikemwa yotok tugul kibagenge kele mokan kemwee kewelinwek chebwonei amu makochomegei chito. Sikoik chito nekakerta oret sikekure chito kibiywet koike amatinye biik anan kekerchi chito kabande kele bwone toek chebo maana onde chichi okerchi kabande anan bokerchi kapchoge asimero biik mongililonchi biikchok amu kikenai kora kele chebiywet kosiche lakwet nekararan metit. Chito nekararan metit kosiche lakwet ne chebiywet. Mangen kotko kamwa iman sikoto oteshinewo biik chomi yu. Ko koroi kowendi koachoni akot kobit komongwamech kelat mewechi kotokobenyi yeku kosengeng kotirorechi kibiywo ko kekur iywek kobwa koing'ung. Mewechi kotokobenyi yeku kosengeng kotirorechi chi netinye menin ko kekur menine kobwa koing'ung. Mewechi kotokobenyi yeku kosengeng kotirorechi solomwo ko kekur solomwet konyo koing'ung. Mongwamech kelat, mongwamech rorio. Ongeku biik chekeng'omen akeku biik chekingen kele mi yebo kelek ako mite mobo kelek. Kokonoto mameche toib yekoi, ameche awo nguno agenge eng agenge akoi olimbo Kericho County kenyoru chepkametinyo nekure Janet asikomwowechkei kuya kemwa wikit konye. Ameche asube kora nguno ane kekureno Seron Arap Cherulei abo kap Cheison kamatelo ngoinyo kibo kipkenda chechok kobo maimi chemolen koim koba ko kibo kaptangoi boyo komelei olinyo ko Nandi Hills kokwet nekure Cheptabach eng Siret Kapchai. Akamite nguno ng'ololwok eng koret nekikure Germany anan ko Jerumani yenekite Hamburg yekimite ak lagokchuk, kimite ak kwondonyu Edna ak lagokchok en Kiptoo ak Cherop ak Chumba. Kikoberurech Jehova kounoto kemwoe kongoi ako kiibu ak tetutioni koek agenge nebo tuguk chekiyoe kemwa kongoi eng bororiet amu kiibu kanetutik che ngap komuchi komonyoru ngolobo gaa olo. Ameche kebe kunoto Janet imwowechkei ile inye ko ing'o, ichebo kapng'o, oreng'wong nekisichin kone, oret nekiiwe kongoro kuya kikemwa wikit konye akerwae amu melen ito mising eng biikchok Janet.
Kongoi Prof. Kikurenon Janet Surum Kiplagat. Oret ko Kapkaronek ak ole kimutan ko Tingo ako ayabu Kericho Telanet Kapsoit Kericho. Asante.
Kongoi missing Janet, ole kimutin ko keiyo. Tingo koba keiyo. Kicham kotieni nune kitokotien kimeto ole mi sikiriet nekimi kapsoit ngalen ingen kikas ng'oliotab sikirietab kapsoit nebo Joel arap kimeto. Kongoi missing in Janet. Ng'one kebwone eng yo nguno cham kele ladies first lakini ngebwa Mike korok. Kemboi.
Wei, en kainet kekurono Mike Kembo arap Cheruiyot. Amang'une kokwet nebo nekile Cheptabach eng olimbo Nandi Hills. Eng nguno amite Nairobi. Ami Nairobi town nebo kole nebo begin ngotakelechi kole kidogo. Abunu family nekile Kapchelale. Netiondo ng'wang ko kibois. Oret ko kibois ako tiondo ko lelwot. So Chelal abwate ale kokas Chelal yani kuinet to. Nga kiun nekimatikindo mwai kuinet. So kounoto kas.
Kongoi missing kamata kolapate Janet sugulisiek kyik en Mike tos ilapate ile kimi Cheptabach iwe Samoei iwe Moi University o ano siwege sikewege Janet amu kamamwoe sugulisiek kyik. Mameche sikoi kole chi kakilesta.
Okay, kiataune primary koron school Cheptabach. Ing yotok pa kayotok. Chakwal ajoinen Samoei Boys High School. Nemite yotok karibu Gate Parak Nandi Hills. Chakwal baadaye awe school ta medicine pa Moi University. Nemite Moi Teaching and Referral. So saya amite kibarua kidogo ngebin Mathare Referral Hospital eng yutang Nairobi.
Kongoi missing Mike meche kokwililat network neng'et akere eng ngap kopiririt. Chebop kenda kiakimwa wikit konye kele kenu lelwek wikini. Kitepsi nyemwage Mike koit lelwek tugul kopwa yun kole takelen kesis kolen kiptek kopetwech ole keng'ololi. Inye akane rani keute biik nebo kimikik. Chemutai.
Kongoi Professor. Kainenyu kekurenon Catherine Jemtai Choge. Abunu Eldoret. Kako Uasin Gishu Kimumu. Orenyu ko Kipkenda ak tiondo ko Segemiat. I think that is all.
Kongoi missing kiwe sukul na Chemutai kwakere kakoit tibikab Seng'ore len kityo green.
Kawa sukul Olimbo Elgeyo Marakwet Sing'ore Girls. Alafu nikaenda Kenyatta University where I did my degree in psychology.
Kongoi missing. Janet, wege simwawe sukulit atya iname yotok iwe tetutiet nekabarani sikemwa kele ne nomeche kotesetai.
En primary kiami Tengecha boarding primary en Kapkatet, Bureti Kapkatet. And high school kiami Moi Girls High School Eldoret. Agawe Kenyatta University for both my undergraduate and postgraduate. A lecturer in University of Kabianga in Nguni. Aye. Prof Rani kimache ngalalen mental illnesses. And then we'll break down and we'll specify, we'll come to a specific disorder. But I think it is good for our viewers at least to know of the mental illnesses that we have. Some are intellectual and some are developmental. So I will speak about some, and my colleagues will also say something. So we have anxiety disorder, a very common mental illness. How will you know if you have anxiety disorder? Of course, there's a criteria, like we said last week, but if it is more than fear, it is fear that does not go away. Do you feel any fear? And fear that does not go away. Fear sometimes about something specific, or about you can't even tell what you fear. So kitinye anxiety disorder. And then we also have bipolar. We also have
Janet, siketoret biik kyok chemi gaa mwebeit kogo, koibeit apatiem, koibeit aguyongo, ko ngingalale anxiety, kong biik kyok chemite gaa ko kamiye koguiyo kole anxiety ko kito nekile ngotepche chichi kobotoni ako toboti, ngap kotokoiboti chito ki kole tasis kobotan kowirtagei tuguchoto kokityo. Kele tinye kit nekikure anxiety anan ko tobotet eng kutit nebo chumbek. Testai. Siayoiwok matapta olipo nokai. Ako yasa.
Aya, kongoi prof. Apart from anxiety, we have bipolar disorder, which is which is characterized a lot by unusual shifts in mood, energy, and how we know specifically, we have episodes of low energy and we have episodes of high energy. Low energy, high energy, not all the times. You can even go for 1 month with high energy, and then all of a sudden you have low energy. And geresa giguren manic depressive. Gitinye borderline.
Mike, si torete Mike en kutit mongen ngengalale bipolar kaikeki neuen ujine kebebertage kongap kotalait kokararanit nengichunu ile nguo kikenam serun chichi kongnyop kosyong koikipseruniot chito nengile nisisi la hehe kitone okur biik nyokobul kokwityi ng'ony amu kawek tabu ako chichi kobolei oboloto kangomwa en Janet kole tinye energy nemite barak koboru kole active nebo kwong'ut choktoti kwaskeni kwaene akomuchi kwai kunoto wikit agenge tatya kowek kokeny kotalait sikobeny ngichunu kolen biik ya kararan chichi ketebe komi ko makinoe akot kele mite ko lakini kas kolany kowendi kot kotosip kolany cheborushiot barak. Mike mongen ngen atyema akine ay matapta amu masomanchi ngalechutok kwaket.
Okay.
Unoto chito bipolar kale tinye kebeberwechutok tuwai ngap kotalait kokararanit komi ng'ony energy kong'ep kopandan kobo tabu koike kiruk no poroti en kiruk chun makotinye kamu pororoti kolyon ako chichi ko sautit wakati hiyo mauni nyune sinengele biik alak komuchi kole ngawel sautit nebo Jeiso nache maunito. Mike. Okay. Unoto chito bipolar kale tinye kebeberwechutok tuwai ngap kotalait kokararanit Mike itinye echo amechi siman tuguk cheikase ngot itinye TV sikefokasan kityo yuto neke kole testai.
Okay, kameche amwa professor ale in kune kamwa Janet en kune kamwa in ketingyo anan ka Janet kamwa kale kangalale ngalekab bipolar. Ko kengalale bipolar ko kasarta no mite chito uya kiule nekile ani mood kata itonda kata kile itondab chito ya mite ya itonda nyi ko mi konyil karibu aeng anan kilen konyil somok mi kasarta ne wendi barak yani ng'ololi chechang mameche story mingi kasa keimgei kabisa sikomite kasarta ne ngap komi kii nekele depression kata ukeret metie tindoi maswek aeng tindoi masta nebo boiboiyet ako tindoi mastab nereket kuso ko bipolar ng'oliot bipolar ko bai ko maanishani kele aeng nguno mi masta nini ngap ko baibai ngap komite kasarta ne mameche kong'alal ak kikerchinkei ko lion kunoto tukun cheu choto. So walaksa atebetab chito kolen kole ngap komite kwen ngap kwa kabisa kune kamwa ale wendi ponerei zaidi anan konam kii nekelen mameche mutism mameche kong'alal ak ki ko isoleten ka kwa taban lakini ngap komi kasarta nemite baibai kabisa nginyoru chito ko baibai nemabo kotugul sirtot boiboiyenyi mi barak kosir yukocham kou kila
ure blalang ya kabaibai. Janet testai nebo somok
ko kitinye borderline personality disorder. Now and borderline, this person gotinye a varying mood, gotinye a varied self-image. Sometimes they feel so good, sometimes they are doubting themselves. Ago even behavior. This person again go tinye anger, go tinye depression, ag anxiety. So tuguk chechang en chita agenge. Yeah.
Kongoi mising testai. Ngele borderline kakile mi yotok nenda kitwaege gongiri kowendi komasin kongemeto komi komasin ma balanced jiji mi utok yu mi kiwoto ngetwa keleji kole koter mat.
Gata anger, gata depression, gata anxiety, gata self-image, ma-defined. Gata mood disorder, lakini ma-defined. So the person is on the border of so many other illnesses. Yeah.
This time.
Oh, sawa. Oh, Mike, I thought Mike was coming in. Sawa. Then we have depression, but because we are going to talk about depression a lot, then let me say we also have eating disorders. We have anorexia nervosa, we have bulimia nervosa, and we also have binge eating. Those ones they are also developmental disorders. They are common in adolescence, but they can also extend to adulthood. Gele anorexia nervosa, a person denies themselves, they deny themselves food, like food. Food, like they starve themselves. Ngele bulimia, why do they starve themselves? Because of some guilt. When they eat, they feel guilty. And then we have bulimia nervosa. The person eats and then they feel guilty. Which again leads to binge eating. Binge eating, they eat and then they initiate vomiting. A person initiates vomiting. So that is also a mental illness. We also have OCD.
Just telling you again, Janet, amu sukabit ko guya bigjog anorexia ak bulimia nige mwa ang nige gure binge eating ko gemwa ile bachito nengo gerige ngioit kole he kwa tebesitu oye maane ni tage maane ni akya Mungu kole maga ya misye ingele nginyo ya misye la kwan kole acha mama rubet amu kinyo metin nyikita nelen kwaner amalasima onera chijo tangap ko sakita minguno ne wedding sang yun damanda inguno ak video ndaja moja rumani jo manda ak video abor work ye bioso ne wedding yu ne negit ko 8 years lakini negit ko te gelda nyisi ya na nyuno mornana amu ma misye ing metin nyi ko tinya mitwa kityo kole ka ner ka tes kilo mutwo ya ne salyanye Kongo sise kityo ko meche kole asagita muki ko programa nang metinyi kole nebo atwa amitwogik aner wendi asip ko ini kaya atinye lakwa nguno nikianeti Munich en kotomi university nekicham kwamisye ngetar kotapkei amu ame rubet nya kotar kwa ngaliot kemwoe kole kaamisye as kabiye kobate kane mwenet kobo amitwogik ap kokono nguno aul angetin aner amameche ngalechato kotoes kobwat kole ngakap kongema bortonyu kop kotapkei sikongu kokaji choto kora kotinye ngalechu kachi kobo kele mental illness ni kai ni kobo kosupkei ak ngalekab amitwogik komangen Mike itinye neng yoto amu chichi maamisyei anan koamisye akotapkei simabendi matoreti amitwogik borto ko ngichono kikosakit ndaki kimwa kekelejin kole koteresi mateleli.
Okay, kama chama le professor chito ne unotok ko kuna kamwa Janet nyo kumite mi konyil aeng kuna kamwa kole bulimia mi na ame kosirto kumi na ame koetege mi konyil aeng kunotok so chichi ame nilen nginyoru chito kikosakit kabisa ne ngileni ile itebe ile kala kalia chichi kikoete ke amitwogik konget ibwek a mental condition kiko developing nekile unconditional response kiko develop an unconditional response ibwek conditional response so nguno ngora amitwogik kityo kuna kaimwa ile kulingeni tunerate angijunu kapsa kokakosakit boit experiment. So kokakoek mentality amu ki age tugul neeku disease ko nemidog nekile compulsions again ak obsessions. Yana kakoek koek sehemu nebo maisha nebo chichotok. So angot much inyoru angot komite deficiencies chebo nutrients kata eng borto, magatin amitwogik fulani eng bortonyi, lakini ma tinye tuwogik chotok kosubkei akilinyi nekikonde kole ngaam amitwogik chu kotepche kuni. Lakini eng yukai ui tugul yekai ko mau notok.
Kongoi mising Mike, biik chok chebo Kalenjin eng tugul ole mi oipchini tetutiet nebo kokwetab Cheiso. Ketinye betut nebo oeng keng'olole kit nekikure mental health anan eng kutinyo kimuchi kemwa kele kalyet eng muguleldab chito, kalyet eng kabwatutikab chito. Kikere rani akobo chekikure mental disorders kele oye makoletet kikomach kosirto ki. Kong'yamach kosirto ki kobit atebet nemakono kobwa atkan kora. Kokakomwawech eng yo en Janet koit chenekit 3 anan ata kemeche kebe nebo 4 kikwaikwai nekituchi nebo rani ko ng'olyon neng'olole ko nebo depression amu meche koimi biik chok yotok asikewek as keng'alale depression biik chok kemwa kele depression ko ne konu ne depression ne chekikere sikenai kele chichi kotinye depression kokirwoi kityo kemeche kemwau kele ngune ak ne chekamite yo. Janet isirare kole
Aya, sawa. So thank you again, Prof. So just give me 1 minute to clarify something. For binge eating, for bulimia is when the person eats and then they feel guilty and then they purge. And then you find now for binge eating, the person eats uncontrollably. Yani anakula. Hata saa zile asikii njaa, anakula tu. It's an activity. And then we have also picker. For picker now, someone eats things that are not nutritive, like a pepper, a pen, what? That is also a disorder. And then another disorder, Prof, we have
Janet,
OCD.
Janet.
Yes.
Janet, ngate amu en konde tugul mamwa ale sikobit kerorechi but yo chiyo kwony konginyoru kwame ng'enda engin olo ko tos mental disorder notok amu nga
No, Prof, that's not a mental disorder. I think now that those are pregnancy issues and what the body lacks. It's not really a disorder. Yeah.
Okay. Kalen sige kirekebishan yoto ngemage chito ke tugul ame kalame tame kartasi tame nei ngawe ke tuga cho ame kawek amu mite nginyoru tuga ngolimbo ka olin inyoru teta nekiyoke ane kya ke tuga sige amuchi anai inyoru teta na wendi kot kokwei kawet ichun konginyi ka chenge chumbik teta ngin kawana tamai kele ni mwagi
ya kameche amwa lein kosubkei ak assumption nekakakimwa eng yo kelein ng'alek cho ngichunu chito nginyoru chito kwame angot koita anan kilen koiwek kwame koiwek wendi kochonge koiwek eng olo kotonyi kolya kwam akere sukis angot kealdo eng supermarket kole kokameche amwa lein ma contributeni to any anan mami ki netoreti ng'alek chotok amu kikeyai angot statistic kele ipkoundo angot minerals anan ko madini chemi borto chekata kararanen. So meche keker yuto sine it is not a common behavior.
Kongoi mising testai Janet agere comments chekwok biik kyok tugul cheosubi ameche ngalabate tyage ngamu chenge sikonerekto kole making'etin kitambuan Kiprop Kevlin Belioi mito limbo kebugat eng Bureti kanyorun Kiprotich Kemboi Jambo Nakuru Kenya Douglas Mutungo imite Naisong ngake kase tiendo nye magas pigo Kabon le misogale Jambo biikab kutit watching from Connecticut eng Olimba America Wilson Arab Sign Assistant Chief nebo Cheptawachi kalema mi sauti tarap Jason aleni ka song kuno ilo tule kapsa maumi ngala Kiprotich Kemboi ak Nancy Talam kongoi mising kakero William Koske Jambo tuned from Nairobi une lockdown ngolo Ruta week leave read to learn and implement the nuggets of wisdom kongoi mising ose amotai imyo nye igere Nancy Talam Jebet Faith Neli Malosoi karibuni kas Obwat ulo epchi en Kas TV ako tenyo gara honorable Kibet ko ine kalema mite tienda lenga kakwili lango tepseta arongo ta muja go na tiena taksio gerin bola bare tolo sumesh kipchirchir jambo honorable Kibet ko ine song is post Danti to Arab Kimbo is watching Edwin Limo Joel Jua Arabet resume share screen the song is stopped okay go missing Danti to Arab Kimbo jambo Monica Koskei Jeva Vero we can't hear the song okay Honorable Kibet ko ine galane ge ne gatieni ga gatienu grande shoga sole ke bo kwa ya ne olaginya Mike ndimo di video leni kana musikuti tingeptabach Alicia Jepkoech pamoja sa Douglas Mutungo the song is post Obed Edna Chuma jambo loud and clear from Qatar Faith Surum you got in your sister in Janet you got in your sister Faith
I greet her
Kaitrani big to laganya Salim imite ini watching David Mugun jambo Charles Tunen jambo Roni Meshach Brono jambo following on Kas Parngetun Manasse following Hilda Boyen Gongo mi Singleton Giptugan Serem watching from Texas. Wow, mi big dunia. Following in Toronto, Canada. Good subject. Gongo missing Matelong Rono Jackson. Oyamagarnyo. Ruta Wycliffe. Taking notes seriously. Blagatrap ko Jimmy Tole Bavaria. Gale chambo blagat. Cheruiyot Jeff no sound please. Agnes Chamgay. Kimoy ngago teping ole ye. Janet, testai sitaro chekonget.
By the way, the eating disorders, thank you once again, Prof. The eating disorders are common in adolescents and women because we are so concerned about our body image, how we look, are we too fat, are we too slim? Yeah, so as opposed to men. And then we have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Chitane tinye OCD go akona recurring thoughts about things. Something small can trigger an OCD. For example, the person can even find a needle. The person can find a needle on their way, let's say home, and then a thought comes to them that you stepped on this needle and you have now caught a virus, and that is how the OCD will spiral. You know, people think OCD is all about cleanliness, being too clean, being too what. That is not really OCD. OCD is having recurring thoughts that are interfering with their day-to-day life. And then, yes. And then we have post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder gongeten chita negigo experiencing trauma, a shock, a scary event, like most people who experienced post-election violence in 2007 firsthand could now be dealing with PTSD. Even children who experienced that could now be dealing with PTSD. And then we have schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, a person loses touch with reality. A person loses, now that is the height of psychosis. A person has completely lost touch with reality. I think, Prof, that we can do that for today, and then we major on depression because that is what is affecting our society a lot.
Kongoi missing in Janet Amu. Ugile kaila batunen which komie ulega meje na itegile magenge. Kai mutichu. So na ibiki ogna magenge kai mutichu chang abo ter netinyage ko muju matinyage onga ko umjige jitagenge tuguju tugul asigonyor chitaenge ngasoma ngityo comments ne gitayeng somukemiyu asigebe mangna le ngongo ko ne ga mango le ule tawni ngale ab depression amogere ke to le guys is me single mage na ka we get step kile ko one the queen bee ngoritio basi Shadrach Molimun Keptabaji Arab Cheruiyot kalo what a great show gongo mi sing and then Jennifer Kilel, you're watching from Virginia, Angolimba, America. Kongo missing in Jennifer Kilel out there, when you Caroli Ramayo. Kale mote kale in So abwati ale so na miyoto kale Jennifer kilel moutie ni gure postpartum depression. Abwati ale in kita ne bitu ya gesi la kweta na lia na muga ka postpartum mane ale nguga tataki ge at kole ngwa ga bogo rio kutum kongya tum ko ga tar ko sije la kwete ko ala porta muga wala gis chemicals mago chugoje ko wala gis chemicals ko mu affectan jita sigite gin konyorin querer metiet konyor tunju gwa bwa tu tiamat koim ko sio bwa ya to go teswejin okweget kipchumba arab Jamaica imite nandi county chip kete kale imite live nganda roboni agaso itongo man kipchumba ke many ropta go giso ya mut kele ngorobono kalin tamasaji tu ba in tumoy jemite ya gole ayen gole tamenga tyo kwa kinyal se kabatikab chai na kongun mamite in chai kongoi missing kana le mi jep kete Vicky Joram from Nairobi kongoi missing watching from Itikonandi County Shat Rakarap Choge Kemei following from Kitale kongoi Jero Bargoria Kaleja, you are a great moderator professor kija molegi gurina tanga sa kwa meaning Edwin Jemiron watching from Lodwa kaimi te in Lodwa Patrick Apto Kalemite Nairobi kongoi missing une lockdown Sami Chichiros in Minnesota, Benjamin Jemjor, very informative. Keep going, watching from Nairobi. Philip Kalami Tagine, Professor Gagirin, Philip Chelui Mitagamneverai. Pauline Jerov, is so tete. Very educative, it removes the myths surrounding mental health. Roni Meshach Bronapa in Nairobi, consider postpartum blues and depression in the next session, if any. About this one, I'm in your Tagisunguna Muga in yacht. Willis Kemboy Gagirin Gelimit KMTC Nairobi. Kaga Yusulo. Very good. Abating Angela Loy Willis Kemboy. Chitap Kukwing Engolimba Jeb Tabach. Rap Jeb.
Yeah, Rap Jeb.
Faith Jeponi. Very insightful and eye-opening. Mutungo Gale Professor, there is inadequate awareness of mental issues, address issues of stigmatization. Nga lecture ki woi bi ngut ko tin tita ko imuti ne unaga o majajang jo ko bi pik chega wa gele ha acha mo gebendi tu mu yagelo metela kwa na ko tebinga ka ke wa jito kinde jito stigma ko in kana ta no me jige te bin so o destiny we PTSD ga gerin malum katame nice topic Ronald Suruma poti ale bigu Janet ka wait bigu in
my people
yeah wait bigu ga samite to liuta kongo missing katam tweet great show professor watching from Kiambu une lockdown no chita bolimbo in ngatip kong medite watching from Kampala Uganda Edwin Gibiwat kongo missing Osea mama Kibruto Timon watching from Iraq watching from like Kipia Eric Irwa. In this case, amejasi mwa juta mai. Abbas, kateb Abbas kole Pandit. Amu jage mwa tukul Janet, jage mwa ile mitega imutika metin. Ango makasi mwa panituogi, ango mwa kuambisi, ango mwa kualilo queen, ango mwa bergongo. Angena le mongena langote bisagti gunata Stephen Giprobi kalam following you Payopkogi impressed by your program Salimia Daktari Cheruiyot Mike tuned from Punjab Cheptabach. Oh okay very insightful Kirui. Mbona depression inakuwa severe ukielekea middle age na older adults. Wonderful topic following from zero no Nandi County monga tagete start depression. Mi depression atau konu ne depression agena ene jitagele tinye depression ako depression ge gure ne ngutin yo kabwa tutik anangerer metie ne ngwangut atestai
Mike gure ne depression
Kure in gerer metiet professor kami ngami ke kitoko ne kakiutie kemwochi in pick up college Igita angene condition angene kakiutie substance use disorders. Substance use disorders.
Kame mete na tanapa substance agma yega ne amu kibwane programs cherubei konye kengalale akobo in mental health ne katinygei ak tuguk cheu chotok chebo bokitet, nyasoret, kerichekab bokitet ak tuguk cheu chotok chebo Mike. Si ngetere kityo rani chomwoe Janet developmental ako kale ne age kautie. Kami class nyina kinasire notes. Ak intellectual. Nga makitiny intellectual ra kotakebwone achenge chito nenyo kong'ololwech akobo akobo autism. So ngeweke depression. Sikele tinye chichi kita nekure depression, tinye chichi kerer metie ko ne? Amameche outie mite kerer metie nekakoimech neo nguno rani kongabit COVID konyo koburyo tibik. Chan tibik chekowek sukul ko chio bendi kosikisye korok sinyo kowekwai testi. Chang biik chekakitar kebiren korikwak. Chepyosok kebirei, boisiek kebirei. Mokanye kityo omwa lakini chang murenik chekikebir neap ketebe. Aya, mi murenik chekikeon eng korikwak kora chemakomi korikwak. Kionamgei chepyoset ak lagok koon boiyot, konamgei boiyot ak lagok koon chepyoset. Konamgei boiyot ak lagok aeng koon chepyoset ak lagok somok. Konamgei boiyot ak lakwet aenge koon chepyoset ak lagok tugul. Komite depressions chekabitune tuguk cheu chotok cho chemameche keutie. Sitatias kebwa mai keitu nekobo kibiywet kele ango maomwa kibiywet, ango maomwa kwambisik, ango maomwa chito nekikinde kwolilokwit anan matinye ka ngalechu nengwongut.
Kate.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Mike and Janet. Thank you. I want to add on what you've been saying, and you find that most of these conditions that Janet was laying out, the conditions in one way or another associate to this term that you want to talk about today, depression. The common thing that you hear people say, or out there, the common word being used, you hear people saying that nasikia niko na stress, I feel stressed up. And you find that depression is a mental condition that negatively affects, we should underline the word negatively, it affects how we feel. It's a constant feeling of sadness. You feel sad each and every time, or events occur that make you feel sad every time. So it's a condition that affects how you feel. It also affects how you think. You find that you start thinking of weird things that affects others. The examples that a professor was giving, people wanting to commit suicide and people wanting to kill each other, it's because of the depression. It affects how you think, and later it affects how you act. It is a condition that manifests itself with time. Si kitu ita happen mara moja, and you find that these occurrences that occur in our families, that occur back at home, abusive relationships, you're staying in a relationship that instill pain in you. Kila siku unaumia, where you are abused, where you are assaulted, and you keep it in your heart or you keep it in your mind, and the constant feeling of sadness occur each and every time. And you also find that you went through a traumatic experience. Janet was saying about the post-traumatic stress disorders. It also causes causes depression. You find that you went through a traumatic experience, you were raped back at home, and you kept it in yourself, you didn't say it, and then the constant feelings start occurring. You start thinking of very many things. You start feeling that you are not worth enough. It brings the depression. And you also find that conditions like bipolar depression comes in. So because there is this stage of manic and the stage of depression where you are hyper at one point, and then the other point you are low and you're sad. So these medical conditions can also affect or can also bring this term that we call depression. But basically most of these feelings, these constant feelings of sadness and this constant feeling of hatred and guilt is brought about by activities that happen in our day-to-day lives there back at home. As I was saying, for instance, the abusive relationships that we go through, the hard economic times, especially right now when there's lockdown, for instance, and also the COVID-19 situations affects how we feel, affects how we act. And you find that you will not know that you're depressed apart or immediately. It will take some time. and you have to notice the signs and the symptoms. I will explain few of the signs. We will explain few of the signs after we come back after the break. Thank you. Thank you, Professor. We will explain the signs later.
Yeah. Kagi junde TV amu meja ko break ne boy in taga shek somo ki muji ke teseta in Kiingereza mu kao kwel English ya me ko janga ki meja si genye ji biga ge rinyo ka mo in kamu assistant chief ne baje tabaj ko le ke go wingi in television como meja ge mete si ki tegin ko le kan ngale ko mo lo bu jo me ke meja ge ni jo ni ji ki tegin ko le Filipo muji obe kuna signaling niya ay wegeng TV siya na ale ay wege at jage testa ingin beberta natong no so gemwa nguti tagenge gele in Janet tuguju gemwa tugul jugele mite bipolar borderline eating disorder si jugai ngoma umwa schizophrenia agne ko anguga ga tugul jinge depression. It looks to me.
We talk about schizophrenia.
Yeah, okay. So it looks like every condition, every mental disorder, is it that it manifests itself in depression, or that it's all unified in depression? So ma elewanio togamuga matko abed network. Mama ja so man comments if we get ko TV big job jo mi te aga ge ra ko mi sin testa in ngane me jo ko explain in big ke testa time Facebook.
Let me say something.
Yeah. You
see, depression, unfortunately, or I can use the word unfortunately, depression manifests itself in most of these mental disorders. Yeah. Like if we find something like PTSD, one sign. So Gilenen Professor Gule assign most signs of mental illnesses manifest depression. Most signs are depression actually. Like if you find PTSD, it ends up in depression. Schizophrenia, the same thing. Bipolar is not even, it's not a type of depression. We cannot classify it as a type of depression, but one common symptom of depression is, common symptom of bipolar is depression, manic depressive. So Magilenen Gole, all mental illnesses are depression, but depression is a sign of most of these mental illnesses. And maybe I can just add something to what Kate says, if you don't mind. We have four major types of depression, and two that have recently been added onto the list of depression. We have persistent depressive disorder. Persistent depressive disorder, it occurs for a long time. The low moods, like Kate has spoken about it very well. The low mood, the low energy, feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, but for 2 years and above. So you can say you have persistent, of course there's a criteria, but if it lasts more than 2 years, then that is persistent. And then we have psychotic depression. Psychotic depression is depression plus losing touch with reality. You are depressed, but now you have lost touch with reality. So that is the second category of depression. The third one, we have seasonal affective disorder. Go yon gagele seasonal, it means it is not every time, it comes in seasons. And the weird thing about this disorder is that it comes most of the time during the winter season. Yeah, when the weather changes, the person also goes down with feelings of low mood, low energy, pessimism, hopelessness. And then when summer comes, spring comes, the person now comes back to their normal, if I may say, their normal life. So seasonal affective disorder occurs in seasons. And then we have postpartum depression. Some people call
it Janet Kalengumi mi Kenya man giota no ba in no ba seasonal amu lonyo olonyo ba Kenya ko makitinye winter, makitinye summer, makitinye asista ekosiek tugul, mamuchi okuye biik chomite Kenya. Kongoi mising otokotin biik chok chebo TV, tomo kebe yelo, katieme akalkal Janet atebe alechi ng'alechu kikireri met kotos keumchigei sinet tugul nebo ng'olyondoni keimang muguleldab chito kong'et kokerer met anan ter. Koamwoch kolechi mitei komi age nekekure seasonal nekale walaksei ya kamach konwakit betusiekab asista akonyo koititiet ko ngolinyo ole kekure winter ngole kimite ngoleben kapchumba. Ko kikenai eng kapchumba kele kong'eteke arawetab 11 akoi arawetab 3 eng emet nekikure Austria ak emet nekikure Switzerland komitei yechoru asista saa 6 nebo bet akororoktoi saa 8. Time nekere chito asista netinye bortonyi ngotko mamitei, ngotko matulungen emet, kotulungen ko kobit bolik. Ngotko matulungen emet, ko time nemitei asista kityo ko saisiek 2. Ko amu mami asista, kokochin chichotok kosich kabwatutik chetokyingei meet. Nguno mi werto nekikesor konyil 40 amu kikotyem kobargei konyil 40. Ako tieme kobargei kila kong'eteke arawetab 11 akoi arawetab 3 amu mami asista imen emet. So meng'et chito neimite yo biik chok chebo Kalenjin ak iker asista nacheru kororoktoi ilen bo tangoita. Konu sobet asisata no nemakimwochin chi. Amu ngolinyonet olingwo nguno akot keit kuyo kabit winter kuni komite Buganda na komi koititiono komi ne ko akot taritik chebo kotokolen chirich ing yumbo sang mekose. Kongyap kotoi kolapkeit emet kou nguno kamwochini tupchosiechu aleni kawalak sait rani. Kong'eteke ra kesireke ak Kenya sait agenge neke. Nguno ngolingwong ko saa 2:44, konyomi ko saa 1:44. Kong'eteke amut akwo let akoi arawetab 10 ko kocham kesireke saisiek 2 amu kokimi winter, kokimi kasarta ne ngot kochar asista komenoe. Akot ndekere ikere ile ngwamach alapkeit kitikin amu mami asista. Kangetebe ole mi urwet kidogo kokutak borto. Kokanoto Janet kalen ateshine kityo alechin koititiet ak asista nekitikin kowendi kotokotiny ng'alekab une vitamin D eng borto, une ng'alechu kobo neurotransmitters amu signals ichu kaimong'u eng borto ko lazima kimutat. Ko ngotko kitikin asista ko bortong'ung ko amu baktorit necheng'e tuguk kocheng'e tuguk choto cheng'ering'en chematechu kain. Ameche asoman comments aeng somok chemiteu asikeweke kito nekakamwa Kate asikiro ngot kimuchi ketesetai kebe kakwautiet nerube. Kongoi mising kanyoru comment ung'et Julius, Daktari Julius Arap Lamaoni nebo Kass TV, inye nekikonech kasari sikebwa TV. Kongoi mising, kale great show and very educative. Chiri Winnie watching from Embakasi, Nairobi. Porok Thomas watching from Mombasa. Robi Toga tep kole mi busureki kaine Mike takoimwoe ng'alekab busureki su akwa nitwa ma melen kakimwa kele itinye kemeche kemwa kityo amu akere ale Kate ak Janet ak inye komuchi koek inye nemuchi elesanwech. Kale Chebon, kongoi mising Paul Chebon nemite olimbo Mogobich eng Lekes en Cheptiret karibu Plateau. Kikisomani ak Paul nekimite tai eng ane eng Chemeni. Kale kongoi mising schoolmate. Wilson Arap Saina kanyoru ng'olyong'ung chief kale kere biik cheusen akine programini komeche kenyechonyechi ng'alek mokwelkwel Ngeresa mising. Ara kilyochin ako emet ko kikebe taon ngotepso atoreti kakoyan akot Kate kole meche sikoibwa kumyan nabo nelili miet meche koibwa kumyan. Sia aji matapta kongoi mising. Kale David Arap Kesha, Daktari David Arap Kesha kale korom bipolar disorder nebo kwang'ut atinye choronok chetinye ugoris tosipin name biik chemasikis mising. Mike obwayo tanyun ngumeche ko myth kamach koek myth no bo Daktari Arap Kesha.
It's a myth.
Woi kongoi mising. Yeah?
Yes, no.
Kawesha science Arap Kesha. Daktari Arap Kesha kawesha science ng'alekuk bwana. Douglas Mutungo kale I think depression is also caused by difficult situations in life illness, job losses, difficult work environment, bad bosses, difficult at home, loss of love, breakups, unmet expectations, unfulfilled dreams. Ako buhay otago. Ngaleju ile jini lakwet mengo sirin lakwet ab kibit. Imichin ka? Kaya ngo sirin lakwet ab kibit. Mamuji anayotala kiliyojini amu kangesigi ko kanapta lagogi. Tatya ko torta lakwet ko fosen lo tumatinye ko amung lakwani ngo mite sugul ko bwati kityo ko lengo tapo tinye sup ko barababa. Konam lakwet depression. Kongo missing Nasir kale great approach. Chess Ruth kale thanks for the great program. Good work Dr. Mike. Wherever we include witchcraft. Kale ngot kete shiba nitwa ngalega myondo ko kagibet network. Cosmas Ruto kale watching from Naivasha. The show is an eye opener. Kongo missing to the panelists. Roni Meshak Brono to Mike. Why do most depressive parents tend to commit suicide on their last phase of recovery? You will notice that they are hyper with some manic features of bipolar, and then all of a sudden, kalewe digital to koben konyor bipolar. Bye bye kitikin. Kilo yu kwa karara niti kogilenga kosa. Kolia nyesip koget ke ogo ga mnyi ne bakong muto kong ngalali amut ko ngalali ne miye. Kop koget ke chichi konye karara ni konye. Janet, ngengalale depression en gondit ko yagenge bi cheki ko survival anan cheki ko mangune depression kot koit kongetin ko sirta depression to si ko ne experience ne ngi tikin asige weki ke mai ka ket ko mowe ko science ne ne gikonin asinyoru depression au gitepe ko tiani agonene gi IC mangune depression personal experience.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, fine. I think I've told this story one too many times to many people, but let me say it again. My depressive episode, actually, my worst moment was in high school. I fell into depression in high school, but back then, little was known about mental illnesses. Looking back, I think I fell into depression because of negative comments, and becoming comments. I fell into depression because of too much pressure to succeed, and you're not given the room to fail. So little by little, I was thrown into a hopeless state. This story requires a lot of time, but I'm summarizing. I was thrown into a hopeless state, and I went into a state of depression for about 3 years, 2 years and a half. I went into a state of depression for 2 years. And I didn't know I was depressed. I can say I didn't know I was depressed. Honestly, I did not know. One thing I knew, I am not okay. I knew I was not okay. And what made me know I'm not okay is that I used to feel I am sick. Like I have this constant headache that won't go away. I have this pain in my ears that won't go away. Sometimes I feel like I have a stomach upset. It doesn't go away. So I survived on painkillers and a lot of guesswork. And then I lost hope in life. One thing for sure during that period is that I lost hope in life. I felt like I am worthless. I am useless. I cannot make an impact in this life. And so I let life flow. Yani, I gave up. I let whatever happen, let it happen the way it must happen. And then how I realized that I was depressed, to be honest, Prof, no one told me I was depressed. But when I became a psychologist now, and by the way, that is why I drew some interest in psychology. I really wanted to understand the genesis of human behavior. And so I understood now that I was really depressed then. The thing that has helped me, and I began my journey of healing when I joined campus undergraduate. first year, second year, that is when I started healing because I became aware, I became conscious. So one thing that helped me to beat this depression is awareness. When I realized that I could easily relapse into that depression, then it helped me to even monitor myself, how I'm progressing, and to understand that even when I don't feel okay, it's not a life sentence. There are moments I will feel that I'm not okay, and there are moments that I will not be okay. So, Prof, it's a long story, but let me say, it is like being in a bottle, you know, like let us say it's like being in a bottle and the lid is closed up. The lid is tightly closed. So there's no space to breathe. The sad thing is no one can see that you're not breathing. Everyone sees you as normal. You go to work, you go to school, you write an exam. I mean, you're very normal. So why are you saying that you're sick? You are pretending to be sick and you are not sick. You don't want to learn. Janet, you don't want to learn. So it's a long story, but when time allows me in future, I will narrate the whole scenario. Thank you so much.
Kongoi missing Janet. So bikyo kita nagamwa Janet kale kikopunine kaimutyonoto. Ngikipun kaimutyonoto ko kisokopun yoto ko kimite maget eng biik komeche kole taik chito ne mara komatinye kamukonotok. Yoche kongaschigei tuguk amu meche biik alake. Eng oret nenwach amuche amwa ale ongeng'omekitu sigik ngap kenome lagokchok ketorte mising kelechi lakwet meche iku namba agenge, meche iku namba aeng, meche iku namba mut, meche iku namba ata.
Prof.
Oi.
Oh, let me just clarify something. The pressure was in school. My parents were very understanding.
Yeah.
They were very supportive. But the pressure in school is what just made me lose it all.
Kongoi missing. Koin ngiwet ko nakamwa Janet nebo school ko ng'alekab mwalimuinik. Ongerib mwalimuinik ng'olyo nemong'une kutuswekchok. Cham amwachini biik alechini meche kinet kanetik chechang kit nekikure emotional intelligence. Kito netoreti sikomuch kong'omekitu kanetik. Kongoi missing. Kanoto kito nekameche keng'etin kerib. Kibendi akoi 1:15. Tupchosiechu motabotye kakoteswech Kass TV takibendi akoi 1:15. Ongeweke ngokweket en Kate ak en Mike kakomwa Kate chechiket chebo kito nekonu kaimutichu. Mara ale itinye ne kaketebenen ng'alek chechang, kaketebenen post-partum, kaketebenen busurek ak bonitwogik, iwolune ituch ne? Tiemo, nyanye koleo.
Amache ang'alale kidogo tuwai kuhusiana kama mawendi orit missing. Amache ang'alale ale postpartum depression ko ipkotauge yakasi koin len yakachut koin kwony taunegei yotok. Ko kito netau postpartum depression ko taunegei yo nekis kwony. Ya anan kilen yakanam mosar ko taunegei yotok. Ko ngot ko mapangangei ngemwa kele mami chepkondok, mamite tugun chemuch keboisie kokachut ko anan ko much kiime boiyot ko nikisi anan ko siretab kei nikisirgei amait kochut kosich lakwet ko metile nebo kosiche lakwet kotoin kosichin kabwatutik cheu chotok kerermetiet kai nekakimwoe. So postpartum depression ko ya kachut ko kwony kotoi kobwa kabwatutik chekimite kotomono akotoi kobwat kochang'a kole ara lakwani kasich tos boliochini aboe ne tos kolia kobwat ng'al chekachang'a eng yu. So koresoldoni kwendi that depression episodes. Kameche ang'alale kora eng yotok kidogo ale meche keribegei. Ya nekis kwony komeche mi ole makat keng'ololchindo. Keny olikinye ko kicham keleni ipkenyoru kokona anan kokona na ingen kong'ololchi biik akomwa ng'olyo sikong'ololchi kwony ne nekis kole joye kitepche kuni makibwoti kuni ko that is why sikere eng kenyit letyo kole ko kimakochang ng'alechotok. Amu sikis koba biik nekilen generation eb nguno ko nikere mako makokoe common ngalekab post.
Mike kwaman ketigeo kele ni kokoe common. Mike atangurur. Mike ketige age mile generation nebo nguno atya ile ibetite ketigeo.
Okay, kameche amwa ale makikowalak kasarta bak makokeny akile kimi nekilen sahi nekile generation 21st generation. Kongakimite generation nebo 21st ko kikowalak emet, kikowalak tugun chechang kobate kityo kon kimeche yotindoi chi kaimutik konikis ko kaikai shikomong ab konyor daktari sikobit koelezanchi kole konyor tetutiet nekararan nemuch kielezanchi akobo ngalechotok. Kameche akon example kikatikas chepyoso nekibo yumbo aina une kile kinam lakwet akole kaesho kochuchun akotil ak panget kole chichwa. Ko tuguk cheu chotok kokoseni Post-partum Depression. Kere ko musiko, kero lakwet ko musiko, kero matakoro kole oye ngakomi oret age nemuch ayai sikobit inashughulikanchi lakwani. So konoto ne sana kotau kenye konikis kwony kongopkochute kokotindoi kabwatutik chotok. Nebo aeng ko kameche angalale ngalekab busurek. Kameche angalale busurek ak kwanitwogik ak ne ale matindoi kiy nekile scientific evidence. Matindoi scientific evidence. Kingen iman kele mi busurek ak kekose, lakini kikere ngoto kikere bas konu keroe se
Mike kakotangurur network nengung. Mike kalanga makakewire busurek otisise.
Yes.
Katangurur network nengung nebo kwangut kalara kakewire busurek in network nebo Mike nalyo.
Kaya kityo network professor in short kamwae ale in ngalekab busurek ko in komite kabwatutikab chito. Mi kabwatutik age nekile belief, it is a belief but matindoi ukweli.
Ongeweke koba depression, tos mite signs alake chekomete cheiboru kele tinye chichi depression, tinye chichi kabwatutik nekerer metiet anan ko tuguk cheu chotok cho. Amu kakemwa kele ne nekonu kerer metionito, ne nekochin chito sikobit kereretab met.
Kito nekonu depression anan kerer metiet ko ngalekab genetics anan ko ngalekab mwanetab korotik nebo family. Ngap komi family ngot komi chi keny ole kinye family nekitindoi pengine kit neu notok kerer metionotok koendi si baadaye kobit ing biikab kwarak. Nebo aeng kora ko ngalekab kit nekile kingo chito nekingoetu ko kikisikyi background netindoi kit nekile traumatic events. Ngap kilin for example lagok kakireanina kikirean in family netindoi boriet inyoru nyiko developing depression. Ngap inyoru boyot nebolchin lagok anan ko chepyoso nebolchin lagok ne lagochu ne uni uni. So ko kiboin baadaye nyikotau lagok kosiche kerer metionotok kulen oye igere ile oye maletit amu ngalekab kabwatutik memuchi kochoba kabwatutik metit komie kopangan kuye makat. Kito nebo somok professor ne muy kokosen kora ngalekab depression ko ngalekab kerichekab bokitet, ngalekab kuletab bangik, ngalekab tugun chechang chebo kiboisien kin bichu kobokiti tomotet ne tugun cheu chotok ak tugun chechang. Nebo aeng kora ko kakamwa chi kole kit nekile life events, stressful life events. Kou yo kakibet chi kakwa chito nekoye koname kot, koname family, ko pilait nebo kot neko koname family kole amu ingele family ko system, kakobreak the system, nguno kabit pondoi mahali. Kito age kora nekwaker kora ne common saing nekoseni depression ko ngalekab betting. Kakotar biik betting kabisa professor. Makotindoi chito chepkondok, makotindoi kasit, amu betting kokonu kiy nekile conversions, repetitive. Tepchesi nginam angot siling 100 M-Pesa, inam 200 M-Pesa, inyoru family kakosavan ing oli. Kita kora nekonu sai ngalekab depression ko kiy nekile difficulty in financial, ngalekab chepkonda. Kile ni kay mami chi neame chepkonda, ingen kunoto kele mami chi neame chepkonda. Lakini ngap komi kasarta ni mayame angot keale amitwogikab kotugul. Mayame. Mi lagok chemi sukul, mi tukun kopangan chito tukun chechang kole meche aino, ameche ainin, ameche aino, lakini ngelen keba kesakai olapa injorta marab komite chepkonda keteken komami. So noto kora nemuch kokonin ngalekab keremetiyet. Kito nebo age kora nemuch kokonin keremetiyet ko kiy nekile biological issues. Kakate ngalale ngalekab serotonin. Ngalekab serotonin komito kune ole kile synapse. Mi ngo ngalek habari chekamakat ke kosup nini file fulani. Kongete serotonin choto ko icheket che facilitaten. So ngopit uptake ngochanga ana kotutikinitu ko produce ni imbalances ing ngalekab akilit. Kita age nemuch kokosen kora depression ko tai nebo metit ile nekile frontal lobe tai kole ngot kotindo shida anan konyor injury komuche kora kokosenin ngalekab keremetiyet. Kameche angalale ngalyo nemuch kobit ing keremetiyet. Keremetiyet komi kiy nekile suicide. Tindo comparison neo ak ngalekab yakatiem chito kobargei. Ngas ne kikobit kouit ngalekab suicide amu yakakobargei chito komakenai kele uye kokebwat ne chichi sikobaregei. Nguno kito nekotam kotoretech sikenai keelewan akobo ngalekab chito nekatiem kobargei anan ko nekobargei. Ko kito netoretech kotoretech chito nakatiem lakini matakolia, matakosuldae. So chang tukun chemite ngalekab yoto kidogo. Ngalekab depression, ngele depression kora kwae chito kosik nekile kere sabet kakouit sabet. Makotindo sabet ko makoruei, makotindo motivation, motivation ing sabet, ani kere kuya kakoit mwisho, kere kuya kakoit ina. So konoto ne kere tieme komanda, tieme oret nemondoi. Tieme oret nemondoi kole uye aene samanda nyu lakini kae kityo ngomanyor chi nekile counselor anan ko psychologist anan ko psychiatrist ko obvious ko orochi kole uye uni aketoreti kerichek kora inyoru kolen kito kityo nganas nekang'et koawa. Maana yale kibendi nanyu labda simwa we professor ile bendi no bichu. So kunotok kamache angalale kora ngaleatab epilepsy anan kelen kiptaleit. Kitegin kityo akusana kobo kiptaleit. Kure epilepsy kike naat ko epilepsy. Kiptaleit komite ing akilitab chito komi kiy nekele electrical impulses anan ko siko communicate en akilitab chito uya katakilin stimet yekai connectenike stimet ing akilit. So kongobit interruption kerga kiaga uya kakinde kole mahali una ole katawendi stimanato komakoite wendi sikotil lakin kwen kosubile seizures
ile kabit blackout.
Kilen kabit blackout kerga kiaga yakabit blackout. So ko epilepsy ko mi tofauti, mite mara mbili ngap komuch sine chito kora kune kasich kiptaleit lakini ma kiptaleit kosubkei mu baboisie mayek kora kokosenin ngalekab epilepsy. Mu kokosen epilepsy in seizures anan ko yakabangony sikaruk ngobangony sikaruk bortoab chito komuch kosich choto kora ngalekab epilepsy. Kita sana nekoseni epilepsy ko kiy nekile tikitikab metit. Yakabit tikitikab metit kotindoi itilaf mahali anan ko yakisiche chito komakisich ing oret ne kararan ne chulate. Much kokosen kora ngas ne matakinai exactly kele koseni ne kiptaleit. Kikomeche koui kidogo kenai kele ne koseni kiptaleit. Lakini pa maana konai chito netindoi kiptaleit kole atinye kiptaleit. Amu sana kito neibchin chito sikobwat kole atinye kiptaleit ko yameche kolugui kerichek. Ngonam kerichek kole kotoi kobwat kole alugui kerichechu kobo ne bo kiptaleit. Ikere ile kiyoto kora komuchi koproduce na psychological impact anan ko ngalekab akilit kotoi koib kabwatutik. Kongebwat anyun ko stimulate akilit, konget akilit kobetune yoto kosich episode nebo kiptaleit. Kameche ale mi tuguk netinye kiptaleit ko ene. Ngot kotindoi chi kiptaleit ko makat kongetin netai koron, mamakat korikyi tugun che koromen, tugun cheu ainet, tugun cheu chebele bich anan ko maat, angot ole rue kora komeche kero, ako chito neu noto meche keyochi monitoring, kehakikishan kele yo kawa mahali komi at least a watchdog anan ko chi nemuch kokere sikomamit komanyor attack, amu ngele much kakonyor attack kemboi sikuru koyait ko mata ko baran koten kiptaleit anan ko mata ko wesan kiptaleit inendet ko wesan anan ko tamu karu koyait ko ngata ko len koyet ke mata ko bit kolya koyet ke amu karu koyait akanam kiptaleit. So meche ke sub kapsa ke ringyoto. Kongoi professor.
Abwoti ale makoi kitar ng'alechu tugul en bikyok chebo kalenjin ngulo mi oipchinit kokwetab Jeiso eng Kass TV ak eng Facebook eng tetutiet nebo rani neking'ololi akobo chametabgei nebo kabwatutik, kalyet eng muguleldo, ako kikere mising akobo kito nebo kerermetiet ngachang'an kong bikyok chebo kalenjin kakemwa kele chang ole bunu ng'alek chebiregei biik eng kot, siregei biik eng kot, pressure neikochin sigik lagok, pressure neikochin kanetik sigik, neikochin kanetik lagok, pressure nekonu lagok kokochin sigik. Angachang'an ekosiechu ko kimatakomi parenting, ng'ete sigik kotimda lagok koba sukul kobo kenyisiek 2 akoi tun kotar lakwet secondary, tun kotar lakwet university, mengen sigik kole ng'o. Ingen sigik ko cheplakwet, tep konai sigik ko mwalimu nebo nursery, tep konai sigik ko mwalimu nebo primary, tep konai sigik ko mwalimu nebo secondary, tep konai sigik ko mokoraek chetuitos tugul university. Ko in kou kele kito nekameche keyai ko kikuye kele mite kerermetiet katar bikyok amakimeche kemwee. Kito nerubei komewe chi kotilabat inye akibwat ile ara toene nguo makomite kito namuche ayai. Ng'alal. Kito netom komwok tupchosiechu ko kito neo, kerichot neo nebo chito neimegei muguleldo ko ing'alal. Ako it is okay to cry. Ngikase imeche irir, ikase imeche iwach, ikase imeche ibalu kutit. Ko chi neimuren kou ane, momwaita ngolo, ko ngokamach kotobok, imuchi iwe uya ole mami chi akiyande. Kiawendi ngiyamite China kakoromit somanet, akomi lagok Kenya, amami chi olot, ale ama kito age netom kwame biik Chinese. Ang'et akawe kiwanja saa 8 nebo kemboi akatebenchi akuru nobo kimnyet. Koyatak emet atar sukul. Kinae ne chito netinye kerermetiet in 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Ai memwaitae. Ingen ile mi cheptilet area nguno yase keng'etin kaiwarisit.
Thank you, Professor. And also thank you for allowing our men to cry. It is okay.
It is okay.
It is okay. As picking from what Janet was saying, from the signs and symptoms, Janet has also mentioned that she didn't know that she was depressed then. So meaning it is also difficult to understand or to know that you're depressed. Maybe until later you are diagnosed with the depression, or maybe later in life you find out that you're depressed. And most people are really struggling because of not finding out the need of us creating awareness about this depression. The first sign, I think, is loss of interest. You just lose interest in the normal activities and your pleasures, and you tend to social withdraw, especially in adolescent and this young generation. You find that someone was very active, someone was very vibrant, and all of a sudden they just withdraw. They are staying in the house, they lock themselves in their rooms. When you hear stories of these teens who committed suicide, their parents are saying that at some point my child started locking themselves in the room. So one sign is social withdrawal, and you also find that you have unexplained pain. As Janet was saying, the headaches and the ears are paining you. You have unexplained fatigue, you have unexplained pain. When you go to hospital, unaambiwa we si mgonjwa, but you really feel that you're sick, you feel that you're not okay. And also some add weight because of these eating disorders. Depression and certain disorders are interrelated. You find that you eat too much, hence you you end up gaining weight. A lot of people, when they are stressed, they tend to eat, especially junk food, and others don't want to eat. Wengine they start starving themselves. They don't want to eat, and they just shut out of this world. And you also feel worthless. You feel guilty. You feel you're not important. You feel you're irrelevant. You have no use in this world. That is when you start contemplating suicide, as Mike was saying. You start thinking of getting rid of yourself. You're not important in this world. So it is always important to know how you feel, to listen to your inner feelings, or how you feel, how constant are you feeling tired, how often do you feel tired, how often do you feel irritated. You find that you are a normal person talking to people normally, but unapata we unakwazika haraka haraka, you feel irritated, a little thing really irritates you. It is because of whatever you're going through inside, the depression. And depression has treatments. You can get treatment, and it is always good to go and seek help. Once you start feeling these awkward signs and you start feeling that you're being overwhelmed, you feel that you can't sleep. For some, they just can't sleep. They lack sleep completely. For a whole night, you find that you sleep for 2 hours, and for others, they sleep too much. It depends. For others, sleep longer times. Unaulizwa huyu nani ako wapi, she's ever sleeping, especially for students. They lock themselves in the room and they sleep. For some, they start abusing drugs, and so that to calm their feelings, their anxiety feelings that is brought about by depression. And when you feel these symptoms, it's always good to seek help. It is, Janet says, it is okay not to be okay. So it is always good to go and seek help, go and find help, talk to someone. And there is therapy. You can go get a counselor. We call it cognitive behavioral therapy, where you just go and talk. Talking is part of healing. And the first part is accepting that you're sick. That is when you go and seek help. Don't keep the things to yourself. Don't keep the thoughts to yourself, so that it starts eating you and then you start contemplating suicide. Go and seek help. Tell someone how you feel. Tell someone how you feel. You feel fear. How the situation, there's also a type of depression called situational depression, caused about by depressive situations or extreme situations like loss of a loved one, a tragic accident. You develop situational depression, and you find that if this situational depression is not treated, it develops into major depression. So it is always good to go and seek help, to go and seek medication. When it is caused by, or it is part of bipolar, you can go seek help from Kina Mike here, and you can get medicine. Thank you so much, Dr. Professor, thank you.
Kongoi mising biik chok chebo kalenjin chomite TV kimeche kitiaktage onge tuyen wikini nyone nyakeng'ololi eng tetutioni kebeberta nebo somok yenyekekere akobo amitwogik chetoreti kotestai komyeit meting'ung akoi amu kakami amitwogik chengiam kochaktaenen ko next week konyekekere kito nekikure brain health and nutrition anan ko brain health ak food. Ko achek chekimi Facebook ko ngeba akoi yobo nusu kole kelechinote kesaisere asikebolu kebeberta nebo somok nekobo ng'oliotab rani kakeng'alale akobo science kimeche kiro akobo in management asikitukyi yotok yo. Kongoi mising biik chok chekomi TV amu komi kobotech, kongoi mising otestai ak program chekong'et eng oling'wong olo. Kang'o nemeche koname yotok kokweket eng kebeberta nin nito kotesetai ng'alekab depression.
Prof, you are talking about the treatment.
So we are talking about depression. Kakomwa ket akobo signs ak symptoms ak management kele kito neu nekimeche keyai kongecheng chito neking'ololjin. Keng'ololji biik, keng'ololji chito neu Mike amu tinye ng'alechotok chobo chetinye ak ng'alek keng'ololjin biik keyochin counseling. Komaon ale katotinye kiy age nekomeche orupte eng yotok po depression anan omeche kebe ak biikab TV kelechi kesaisere ak echek kora.
Let me say something. People always say that I feel stressed, I feel bad, I feel I'm not good, and then people say they are depressed. They term that as depression.
I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm tired. I feel fatigued. I feel what? But just like Kate said, you may not really say you are depressed without going through a diagnosis. And then again, When these feelings of being fatigued, feeling worthless, hopeless, pessimism last for more than 2 weeks, then you can, if you are conscious, that is, you can now go for diagnosis. When they persist for 2 weeks, continuously for 2 weeks, that is when now you can approach, you can seek for help. But these other feelings of today, you're feeling fatigued, you're feeling tired, please, it is normal. We cannot always be up, we cannot always be elated, we cannot always feel good. So I just wanted to clarify that after 2 weeks, if you still feel these symptoms, then it's okay. You can now go and seek help. Prof, again, you've said that we talk about the therapies available or the treatment options, right?
Maybe I'm out here, Janet. The biggest question that people are asking is, it's okay. Somebody has been diagnosed or somebody has done a self-diagnosis and thinks, you know what, I might be having a depression. Amu kitinya society nyumbaga ayun nengileji kaba nyuru somebody angalalja mwaji shida jajuga tsugu kaswa. I think that's the language we use. Ngilegaba mwaji chigo kaswa shida na nyukwat kangara go bwati bigulegabi samjip kondok chita. Anane kongilete gaba angalalji chita amwaji shida jajugo kaswa. Kogita netane nyone gabwatu tika bigulegi biyuedni. Wana miyue. Kap kingetin kap kora shrink. How do we deal with stigma, A, and B, how do we encourage somebody in this condition of a depression? Koyan goro, koko cheng, I think koyan go mangalekchi. Because it's one thing to get somebody to talk to, yet another to talk to that person. I guess I've asked 3 questions in one.
Maybe I can deal with the first one.
Yeah.
How do we break the stigma? We actually break the stigma by letting people know that what we are doing, like now, Prof, what we are doing, we are breaking the stigma. Like anyone can catch an illness. You saw even in the recent news that we had, the Prince himself, Prince Harry, confessed, yeah, that he had a mental illness. And so even advocacies, people should know about these things. They should know that it is normal not to feel okay. People should always, you should not be afraid. You should not be afraid that what you are feeling is beyond the normal. You should not be afraid that you are heading towards being suicidal. It is always good to talk. So how do we stigmatize? Let us talk about it. Let people know in the villages, wherever we go, let people know that there's something called mental illnesses and that we have help. And the first way to be helped is to talk about it. Yes, thank you.
To add on what Janet was saying, Professor, I think it's the next question that you asked, finding someone to talk. You find that it is not very easy to talk to someone, especially when you're going through the depressive situations. As Janet was saying, the trauma that is in our society, that someone is depressed, it's actually an ugly thing to say that you're depressed, or somebody saying, amelemewa sana kona mawazo mingi. And it's not a good thing to talk in our society. That's why we are creating awareness. You find that if you want to talk to someone, get someone you feel comfortable talking to, and someone you know that when you talk to, your secrets are safe. There is something called there's a rapport that we create during counseling that we encourage, or we ensure that we tell the client that your secret is safe. I don't know what that term is. I've forgotten.
Confidentiality.
Confidentiality. Yeah, we assure you of confidentiality. So when you're finding someone to talk to, don't just go and talk to anyone who will go and tell your problems and spill your problems to everyone. And then you end up getting more depressed because your story is all over the village. Don't go and talk to anyone. There are people who are you feel safe, that your story is safe with them, and somebody who can help. Most of the time is the pastors at the church. it is always easier to go and open up to them, because I don't think they're going to shout, they'll shout your problems. And also find someone who's senior to you, somebody you know went through the same situation and they came out victoriously. So talk to someone who you feel it's safe. Don't just go and start talking to anyone because you've said find someone to talk to. No, find someone who you feel you're okay to talk to, and someone who will assure you that your secrets or your problem is okay.
Missing. Mike, I think one of the things that you guys need to do going forward is to also think about social media. So there is social media, there is pressure from social media, there is COVID. Unfortunately, we didn't mention COVID today, but you know, you ladies, I think there is some mental illness or mental health issues associated with either overconsumption or to some degree reliance on social media. And it could be things like, I posted something, how many people liked it?
Oh yes,
you know,
you're right.
Yeah,
you're
you
right.
know, Kate, she liked a post from my friend, but she didn't respond to mine.
Yeah.
And I think we really need to talk about this because it's affecting a lot of our people, and especially, you know, the young people. They are all over. They are all over. You know, Snapchat, I don't know, whatever other social media they use, and they are like, you know, I share my post, nobody likes. I mean, I had an example of somebody telling me that, you know, I share my pictures, nobody comments on them. My friends share, and I see 1,000 likes, and it's like, oh my goodness, you know.
And
that's
by the way, Prof, that is a very huge area of concern, because social media is taking a toll on our adolescents, especially the teenagers. And I think we really need to tell them, we really need to come up and talk about it and let people know that you're not defined by the number of likes. You're not defined by the picture that you put on social media. Yeah, you're not defined by this, you know, this invisible audience that really, you know, the problem with social media is that they direct your life. You are in Germany, Prof. I'm in Kericho, but you could direct my life the way you want. I'm affected by how you think about me. So I think going forward, we need to talk about it.
Yeah. And I don't know when we do it. We probably finish the next one on Sunday, because I have Edward Bitok and Susan Kano to talk about, you know, nutrition, diet, and brain health, mental health. And then we need to come back. We need to come back on social media. And I don't know whether we call it fame, you know, dealing with you know, you've seen a lot of these guys who are like, you know, social celebrities. The celebrity mentality is killing a lot of people, to be honest.
We discussed the lies versus reality we see in Facebook.
Yes. Very good, Mike. We missed you for a couple of minutes. And the question we were asking is about something that somebody has asked here. Kateb Chitanegegure. Yeah, thanks, Caroline. I mean, Professor Bore was with me here in a very long number of, quite a good number of shows. And what he told us is there is something called self-worth. And then there is the social worth. And, you know, dealing with these two, dealing with the self-worth and the social worth, that makes the difference with this social media craze that we see it as well. Missing and Limo, I have noted that actually we are going to talk about the challenges of widowed parents, both male and female. I get a comment in widower and widows, and I have a very, very strong resource person, a man who is living with his children because his wife died, and left him with the children, and he's doing a tremendous job. He's a psychologist and family counselor, Professor Bore, and he's agreed to take on the show on living with the life of a single parent. So we will do that. Mike, there is something called somatoform. I don't know what that is. It sounds Greek to me. Ronald Ayabe asks utueleze kidogo kuhusu
Yeah.
somatoform disorders.
Hello.
Yeah, kikasin Mike.
Yes, somatoform ko kure somatic disorder ke. Ike ure somatic disorder ma ure somatoform. Ike walga ni kidogo ure somatic disorder. Kwa that condition ko mgonjwa anan kwa shida nebo akili tika. Lakini kere chito kuyo kene serious ngito kolen ama moet ama taget lakini ngisup yekangop kai test ngo hospital ya test chebo chichotok kebiman kele lian chichi kai tos ndo manin ame man taget ngekwany taget kele ngai x-ray kai ne kuma mi age tugul lakini kosupkei ak kabwatutik kosupkei ak kole ibwatita kole ibto mgonjwa notok kokere kabisa kuyo mi moet mi taget mieno mi mahali lakini findings chebo mgonjwa notok koboru kole mamite. So kumaanisha kire ngakwa chito keyoche scanning, kakeyai test, kakeyai ne, kakeyai tugul kele mami mgonjwa. Ko meche kotindo sine kidogo link ak panitwokik chekakimwoe kusurekai kele kokeban. Nga kamukomite angot yekain mgonjwet borto, mi metit, mi akilit, mite kabwatutik. So ko mgonjwa noto nekeure somatoform.
Kongoi mising. Ongitugate biik cho kongoi mising amu komi kobote tugul. Okwek chekabwa kiprop Kev Belian kakerin kale Kev, people don't talk about this thing. Kakimeche kesom kele ngepata ng'alekab COVID ketil workshops ak barasa ak ne sikeng'alale ng'alekab mental health. I agree with you. Patrick talking out the feelings is also a form of therapy. Lazima keng'ol also. And like I said, you need to ngikasilite mechi watch. Imechi rir. Matinye murenon di bekab kong. Tabet kiywei. Kongoi mising. Caroline Jemosit, how do you help someone about kagewolu notak stigma ora kagewolu? Kongoi mising. I think it will also be important to educate parents and teachers and students relative to this issue, especially in our pressure nekikochin gei in gorito law. Kongoi mising. Anna, one of these days in Alalengalega Guido I will do it. Scarcity of love, Douglas Mutungo, but in social media. Shadrach, can I share the team contact details for more follow-up and help for those with patients? Kongo missing, Pikyotinye tebut, omuja testai o mete comments in Facebook. Yosa connecta nagamu agere active ke tagin ag Mike agin Janet ko commentani. Gimete jitang yo question yo komenta nun Mike agin ak Janet o tekan offline so ngalal privately simagitigin gengetin getang goege ingyoto kongo missing gagere une gage let nebo betutab rani o mwangol yo nebo let kityo asigitu kiutok yung wigini ameja mo kongo karamu konyoru kasari asio bwanye gete gemite tulu bagenga go betu nebo rani Mike imeji taune nyendet imwangol yo nebo let atile saisere agitestai moji bikyo ile it is okay to cry amami banitwogi amami busure kongo Mike testai.
Yes, amaja atakan time in corona leji big tugul kongoi. Big kagere live in Facebook. Chikagere in Gas TV. Aga leji kongoi kora professor in the tutien ko itaje. Koge se jage experience kora. Koge net big akutegi tage bitu kora. Tage net big indai. In case ngoto ko mingalia professor ntago meje ta kona big. Awangale ka mental health kora ko tage taje. Ne baenga meja in ataken a message aleji bigin ngalekab corona sai oye korom kasit korom ui mako wat konya iko damte ke bwati kele lion oye mamine kogerchige ako koger akine ole koko tatisan emet ngaliando noto so kingen kele bendi kobitu changamoto chechang kokeker sugulishek mi ka lagok mi biga mite kila mtu komi karibu ka inyoru mi biik yoe kasi ka mi joyano so ameche alechi kityo biikab kutit en chebo kalenjin ongetulianse ak kepangan ke polepole ikile keteken kotore musuk so ongeng'omu kidogo mat kemei tugun chebo haraka sikobit mutai ko name keret metiet kai nekakimwoe ak tugun chechang Kita age namoche amwa kora professor komeche keker ng'alekab tibik ak teenage pregnancy. Amoche amwochi biik chekere rani alechi ngoto kichas ak isich lakwet ko ma mwisho nebo sobet. Ma mwisho nebo sobet. Titinye sobet nekoi mising. Ma mwisho nebo sobet. Kitu tukun chechang. Kakere lakwa nekasir eng Facebook kole oye rib lakwet kawe samu memeche oye kawe. Ma mwisho ko kaisich chito lakwet anan kemeten ometeke ak chi nekomi tuwai ko ma mwisho nebo sobet. So lazima kotestai sobet kou kon tugul. Lazima icheng oratinwek alak ole much solvent out the issues. Issues ko maibarge. Issue ko maibet sobeng'ung. Pa maana sobeng'ung kosir tuguk chekikere ko pa maana. So ujumbe notok nekatindoi. Nebo mwisho as professor ko kameche alechin kastoik tugul en akat biik tugul alechi kochamegei ak kechamegei akichek ak akat biik tugul chebo Cheptobach. Yes. Ak Nandi komugul ak Kalenjin tugul bororietab Kalenjin.
Kongoi mising kakatet taunet ke kotokomi television umai ngekanyi yokte kakatiet kwa Facebook akoba biik. Okay, kongoi mising Mike arap Cheruiyot chitab kokwenyu kolimba Cheptobach. Amu kanetutik chekororonen chebo betutab rani. Chemutai.
Kongoi Professor. Thank you so much for this platform and thank you for everyone who has listened to us. I just want to tell everyone that don't be a slave to your emotions. You can control them and you can get help. So let us continue sharing this message. Let us talk mental health so that we can save many people. Thank you.
Janet.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Prof, for such a beautiful forum that we get to talk about what we love and what we do best. And also thank you to our listeners, our followers, our fans for the immense feedback and support. We do not take it for granted that you followed us and watched us in this very educative forum. And then thirdly, I'd like to let people know that you should never be ashamed of your story. Never be ashamed of your story. Everyone has a story. No matter how elegant we try to look, we have a story. Let the world hear you out because there's purpose in pain. There's always purpose in pain. And then you can follow me on Mental Health Kenya Support Group. I have a Facebook group that we talk about mental health issues.
And you share the link on the, you can post the link there in the comments.
Yes, I will post the link and thank you so much. By the Prof, we would have greeted our people. I was blamed the last time that I didn't greet people.
Oh my goodness. You can still do it now. They will watch it.
Let me just greet people even when you are not on TV.
On Facebook, greet them on Facebook.
Let me greet them on Facebook. I greet my sister there in Kabartega and my big sister and my brother-in-law. My parents in Telanet, my other family in Kitale and Kiptere, and all my fans and my students wherever you're watching, I love you. Thank you for always giving me a reason to live. God bless you.
Very good. Como missing on you agata muga utiega tas vale jina ugatisia. Yeah, going missing. I think we Kakibalinjin Kiamne Magitu Jamgo Kwamba Koske ongi to Kyotaki, ongi to Yuigi Ninyone. Kete se taya of mental health and nutrition, mental health and diet. Kimita Daktari Susan Keino, Ak Daktari Edward Rabito Nulimba Jimene, Eng Wasingishu, Susan Gaino Lelmoko, Eng Nandi County, Congo Missiongi Pika when your weekend Gararan, I got a style, Ongolol, Seungingol Jigay. Lite Carnet, Moy Bible Gunot, Lite Carnet. Como agora o lite chito. Apo tia lega gi guye ke gunat. Como bi kya kyo mi te Facebook sai